Hello, my name is Lamont McIntyre, and I'm very excited because I'm on the set of my podcast, Quick Thought. This podcast came by way of me being in deep thought about a lot of stuff about my life. When I was 17, I was arrested for 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to prison with 2 life sentences for crime I didn't commit by a dirty cop. The things that I experienced, the things I seen, the things that I endured during that time. I went in 1994 as a 17-year-old kid, and I came home as a 41-year-old man 5 years ago in 2017. I never spoke about like my experiences in prison because, at the time I was really trying to get away from that because I didn't know how to process it at the time. Emotionally, I wasn't in the state of mind to really process what had happened with my life. But this is 5 years later, and I'm in a space in my life where I can speak about those things freely. And it's not all bad. Some of that stuff is pretty funny if you look at it from, depending on what perspective you choose to look at it from. But yeah, I want to just share some of that stuff with a lot of people because everybody asks me, how did I make it through such a horrible experience? And just like anybody else that would have to go spend their life in a place they don't want to be, it was a horrible experience at first. Starting out, I went through phases. So when I started, it was so depressing at first. Going through the moments of not being able to eat, not being able to sleep. It's a different environment. Prison from being free. It's a whole different environment. You got to learn a whole different way of living. Like showering, for instance. I never showered without boots on. When I showered, I always showered with my boxer shorts and boots. So people be like, it sounds funny why you got boots on in the shower, but at the time, it's not funny because you see people being violated and hurt because the shower shoes don't have good grip when you're in the shower and it's wet. So you you shower with boots on just in case anything happens, you prepared. But that was the prison life. So I had to adjust to being free to being on the defensive to protect your life all the time, right? So I went through moments of that and I was angry and I fought a lot and I was in a hole a lot. And prison, man, the funny thing about prison is it's a world within a world with rules just like society. If you walk into a place like that and you don't know the rules, people don't care if you know the rules or not. For instance, down the hall tables, like child hall tables, is territorial and it's a real serious thing in prison. But I didn't know about that. So one day I found myself sitting in the Serranos, which is a Mexican gang in prison. And I found myself sitting at their table. And I was sitting there by myself and I was 18 years old. And I remember sitting here and I'm eating and I'm already in prison. I'm already pissed off that I'm in prison. I shouldn't be here. So I'm pissed off. So I had a chip on my shoulder anyway. So I'm sitting here eating and this guy come up here and tell me, you lost. In prison now, I'm sitting at a table eating some shit that don't taste good. And I'm already mad because I got to be here. And this guy asked me, am I lost? Because I'm sitting apparently at a table that belongs to somebody else. And I just couldn't understand that. That was my first time with that whole territorial thing, being in the wrong place, the wrong time. You can't even use a phone. Some phones are marked for other gangs. Some areas on the yard you can't go to. Certain places you just couldn't frequent because it occupied by different gangs. Me, I was a part of the Gangster Disciple, the Gangster Disciple Nation at one point in time when I was younger. So that was a gang I ran with. I was the treasurer of the gang. So everywhere I went, every prison I went to, they voted me as the treasurer because of the way I handled money and because of the way I was able to turn 2 into 4 and 4 into 8. That was my specialty, right? So the thing with being a treasurer, I learned. Now I'm gonna tie all this into what's going on with my life now, but I learned something in prison. I learned money management by being the treasurer for the Gangster Disciples. And I didn't understand how that would apply to my life now, but it did. And that's just some of the things I was doing. And another thing I did when I was in prison that I do now that it was a skill set I didn't know that I was preparing myself for was I ran stores, which means if you don't have a resource in prison, or if you don't have somebody looking out for you, if you don't have support, you got to make your way. So the state will give you $9 a month. So I made $9 a month just by being in prison. So what I would do is, because I didn't have no help, because my family wasn't there, shame on y'all, I saved my $9 a month, and I bought a bunch of snacks like honey buns and cookies and chips, right, with $9. I took that $9 and I turned that $9 into 18. Then I took that $18 with the canteen and I turned it into 32, right, or 36. And I kept going and I kept going, I kept going until that's how I was living and taking care of myself. That skill set, being able to rely on yourself, being able to problem solve, being able to turn one into two, all comes from not having no support and being able to rely on yourself. So now that I'm here and I'm an entrepreneur and I do have multiple businesses and I do support myself in that way, I see now I'm just running a store again.